Alright, hopefully you guys can hear me. So, this is what I want to say. If you don't live by your intuition, then really you're just living out your programs. And how are you going to break out and do something more? You're only going to be limited to the successes of the material world. And you are a spiritual being, having a human experience. So it's not invalid to do that, but I don't know, I just want to say I'm being shown in my day-to-day life right now the importance of me following my intuition, even when I'm amongst people who will not understand it, will not believe it, will do not care about it, and will expect of me something different. It's I keep being put in this position. It was with my mother, but now with other people, where my intuition is telling me something and I need to follow it, and I'm tempted to override it because the other person won't understand, and because they really, really, really want something to go another way. And it's I was so close to not honoring my own intuition just a few minutes ago. And I was just thinking about it, and I was oh wow, this is the theme, right, for me right now, is that I'm being challenged to make sure that I am not willing to abandon myself just because I'm interacting with someone who doesn't believe what I believe, or believe what I know, actually. Because, I've tested my intuition and experimented enough to know that I should follow it, and that it's better for me if I follow it. And I know what it feels like when my intuition is saying that I should not do something. And I have been tempted now. It's been unfolding over the last couple weeks, but it's really, gotten my notice in the last couple days. But I've been tempted to go against my own intuition because logically I can't come up with a reason to explain to the person why it can't go that way. So, but what I just did was I just said my intuition is just saying that that's not a good idea. So I'm going to have to follow that. And, logically it doesn't make sense. And so this person, just accept it. It was fine and everything. But then I started to feel guilty. I felt like I let them down, and, but I didn't let them down. I probably saved some trouble that they'll never even know about, and then I'll never know about because we've been spared it because I listened to my intuition, So, yeah. And I want to say if that person's not listening to their intuition and doesn't have intuition guiding them, I'm not saying that they're wrong, but I am going to say that it would be nice if they were using their intuition too, because their intuition would probably tell them the same thing, I think that we can get programmed and we can want what we want, and we have these certain desires and goals that are maybe set for reasons that are having to do with fear of failure, fear of not, succeeding, fear of, letting people down, fear of not being seen in a certain way, fear of not being accepted, fear of not completing something that needs to be done. All kinds of fears and doubts and worries can come in and be part of the equation for the decisions that we make and what we prioritize in our lives. And there is a divine orchestration going on here. So for me, it makes sense for me that when I do get the guidance, I want to take it, because there is a divine orchestration here. And it's if I can be spared by the divine orchestration's prompting me intuitively, if my intuition can tap into the energy of the divine orchestration and decide that a certain decision that I might make wouldn't be a good one, then I want to listen to that, It's why would I not listen to that? It would be silly not to listen to that. And I know that from experience, right? Like, I'm not saying it would have been like life-threatening or anything, but it could be inconvenient. And I'm supposed to be kind of resting from inconvenience at the moment because I just healed that belief that I had just yesterday. I healed the belief that I had to deal with difficult people. And it was a belief that was rooted in my childhood, and it was in my subconscious, so I wasn't consciously aware of having it in there, but I was living it out, like over and over and over my whole life since I had it. And I just became aware of it yesterday and was able to clear it. And boy, that was a great one to clear, because I can tell you that I slept so good last night. I've just been feeling lighter. I had so much energy today. It's like all of my energy was going towards that. Well, not all of it, but like a lot of it had been going towards dealing with or having to deal with people who are difficult. And you know what happens when you clear the belief that you have to deal with people who are difficult? Well, the people aren't so difficult anymore. Like, you could have the same person in your life, and if you clear that belief in self, then they show up differently, and not all of a sudden they're not so difficult anymore. And that's a pretty cool thing about doing this work, you know? It's like people are reflecting us back to us. So when we don't have that in us needing to be reflected back anymore, then the other people appear differently. We're not seeing them through that lens anymore. They're not reflecting that back to us anymore. So the same people in my life, you know, are not so difficult because I have changed my belief that I have to deal with difficult people. It's really amazing and beautiful. And I think, like, you know, I've known all this stuff for a while, but I've been wrapped up in doing my shadow work, and it's easy to lose sight of the magic of the divine orchestration when you are, like, you know, in the mud of your shadows. and like there's one after another, and like, you know, but it's well worth the work. I have to say that it's well worth the work. And you know what used to happen is, like, people would be like, well, what, you know, yeah, you say you're doing like shadow work and it's helping you and stuff, but like, I see you still suffering this way, I see you still doing this thing. And it's like, that used to really bother me, but now I see it as like, it's okay if other people don't notice the benefit that I'm getting from doing the shadow work, because I notice the benefit I'm getting from doing the shadow work. You know, like, it's undeniable to me. It's undeniable to me that it's like just easier to be happy. And yeah, so today has been a day of me sort of returning to my magic. And I had been a while, because I had been kind of in the swamps, so to speak, of my own shadows for quite some time, having to dig through and parse out like what belongs and what doesn't of my operating system and my beliefs, and what was making me miserable and what was holding me back and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying I'm done, I'm just saying, like, I've done enough to know that, like, yeehaw. Yeehaw, that's such a funny thing for me to say since I'm not a cowboy or anything. But anyway, I'm really tired, so I have the giggles really easily. I'm on my way home, and I will be sleeping soon. So, with that said, I'm out.